Your feet with that flag as we welcome Her Excellency Madam Catherine on behalf of the government of Kenya and the UK to give us her Jamhuri speech. Everybody, happy Jamhuri Day! Happy Jamhuri Day.
To the entire leadership of this borough, London Borough of Barking and Dagenham, I wish to say thank you, Cllr Kangethe. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Kenyans, it's indeed a privilege and an honor for me to be standing here today. This is actually the first national event that I am marking since I became the High Commissioner. Okay. Thank you, thank you. And if the energy and the joy and the excitement and the welcome I have seen and felt today is anything to go by, then I think I'm in for a very successful run, 4 years run, right? And it is good to see this Kenyan spirit, very uniquely Kenyan. We love to dance, we love to sing, we love to speak as well. That even as Janet has said, some of you have been here 20 plus years, but the DNA still stays, the Kenyan DNA. Now, before even I say the few things that I had planned to say when I was invited, sitting here, there are several things that have actually moved me, touched me, given me hope, regardless of what we see, regardless of what we are saying. I see several generations represented here, some as perhaps as old as the 60 or 61 years of independence that we are marking today, some in between 50s, 40s, some in their 20s, I believe, or even, and some barely, how old, Baraka? 10, you see? So the entire spectrum is actually taken care of. So when we lay this foundation as we are laying it, Kenya can only be greater and better than where it is. Now, away from the age spectrum, let me look at the sectors as well. I've had business. I have had the social space, a lot of what Janet is doing. There's the political space as well. Because a lot of times when Kenyans came across, it was school, it was economics, rarely was it politics. Right? Now we've actually gotten into space of politics, not just by way of speaking, but by way of intentionally and actively being involved. And Sisi, when I see you, my heart is warmed about the Kenyan political space, not just the UK, the Kenyan political space. Why do I say that? Because we are talking about exchange. Right? So I don't know if anybody heard the permanent secretary for diaspora affairs. There was the diaspora week in Kenya last week. I don't know if anybody listened to her because she said something very profound and something that is just about to change things in Kenya and I think globally. She said the contribution of diaspora, if you weren't listening, you missed something very key, has actually surpassed the contribution of development partners. I want you to tell me where the focus of the government is going to be, right? And we are dealing with a diaspora that doesn't just understand our needs from an economic perspective, is a diaspora that understands who we are as a people, right? Because sometimes with development partners, and I have to be careful because I'm studying on the grounds of one. Sometimes you've got to sacrifice a few things, right? Because when you're on the receiving end, sometimes your bargaining power is diluted, isn't it? But with your own people, I don't think you sacrifice. Actually, you get more than you pay for. So as I stand here today and I listen, there's the clergy. I'm a believer myself. And clergy allow me to say this. You're the moral conscience of the nation. I will repeat that intentionally. You are the moral conscience of the nation. And if there are gaps that are happening in the value system, I don't think it's the Constitution that is failing. Allow me to be a little unkind, isn't it? Because the Constitution doesn't govern values. It states them, but who polices the values? It is the church. So if that space is cracking, if corruption is increasing, what are we telling our congregants? Kenya is 80% Christian, isn't it? Something is amiss, you agree with me, yeah? We don't have time to, to discuss it now, but as we say back at home, pale kwa ile tent ya blue, tukutane after this, isn't it? Yeah, kwa nyuma ya hema hapo tukutane so that we can have that conversation. But it's very encouraging for me actually just sitting here and listening and observing. I'm very encouraged. We may say many things about the nation, but I'm very encouraged that we are going to the right places. These are economies that have gone ahead of us, right? You know, like the way a firstborn goes ahead of the other, the way Dr. Kangethe here has gone ahead of Sisi, and she says, if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't be standing here. So ours is, what can we borrow from these economies that have gone ahead of us? I say it's more an age factor than anything else. Because if Councillor Kangethe can excel in this environment and she's Kenyan, it means she has what it takes. If Janet can excel with what she has been doing, it means she has what it takes. It's just the environment and the forums that need to be created. As I was listening to Perez speak, and I hope I got the name right. Okay, great. Those of you who've taken time to look at Vision 2030, the focus of Vision 2030 is for Kenya to be a newly industrializing nation, among many other things, by 2030. When I listened to what she's doing with the food chain, we are there. It's not 2030, but we are already there. And that model is, you said you're being asked to replicate it in, was it South Korea and another, somewhere else, right? And Taiwan, right? And those are the stories we need to be telling Kenyans. Those are the stories that we need to be telling. Because when people hear the success stories, by the way, we say success attracts success. Yeah. When people hear those stories, then these many things we are looking for get attracted, right? But if we go to media, I don't need to tell you what we hear, isn't it? All right. So just coming back to just a few, 2 or 3 things that I wanted to say today. When we mark Jamhuri Day, it's perhaps the most significant of all the national holidays that we mark as a nation. Because I don't think there is anything greater than having your freedom. Being free, being in charge of your own governance, being able to make the decisions that you want to make the way you want to make them, choosing who to collaborate with instead of being told who to collaborate with. So when we mark Jamhuri Day, we remember the sacrifices that were made by the great men and women that fought to liberate this nation and give us perhaps the greatest gift after peace, which is freedom, to be able to do what we want to do. Now, have the battles stopped? Has Jamhuri marked the end of the fight? I think not. The fight has just shifted to something different. We fought physical battles then, because people occupied land that was rightfully ours, because we were denied things that were rightfully ours. But now all those things were given to us, isn't it? And we won the battle on that front. But we are faced by many other battles, which we are daily talking about. And I believe the greatest battle we face now is not even a battle of resources. It's not a battle of skills. It's not a battle of knowledge. I don't even think it's a battle of capacity. Because I haven't been to a place that I haven't found Kenyans that are excelling. In fact, we have a running joke back home. For those who haven't been there long enough, we say, if you don't find a Kenyan there, it is not habitable. That is the only thing that will keep Kenyans away from a space. And any single corner of this world, and I challenge you, if you fight, come tell me. I think even in Iceland, if you go beyond, as long as life can survive, you will find a Kenyan. And you will not just find a Kenyan being just average. You will find Kenyans shining. If there is a business that was set up there, it was a Kenyan who set it up first. And then other people came and followed. And that says something about us as a people. So the battle for skill, the battle for resources, the battle for capacity, I think that we have won. The greatest battlefront we face now is the value battlefront. And that's why I'm looking at this table here. Yeah, so the greatest battle is that if we can fix the heart. See, we said tunajivunia. That's why I said let's play that song. Tukasema hatutaki matata, hatutaki wezi, hatutaki, what was the other thing? Siasa mbaya. All those are not sitting on systems and structures, by the way. We've got a great constitution as a nation. We've got better structures than you will find in many places. And I say that without fear of contradiction. So I want to ask, what stops us? What you love, you treasure. What you treasure, you protect. And grow, isn't it? And that is the challenge I'm leaving on the table today. When you think about Kenya, what do you think? Right? Because our thoughts soon become what? They become our actions, isn't it? Yeah? And our actions soon become our behaviors. And what do our behaviors soon become? They become our habits. Right? So when we speak about all those things that are going wrong, why are they going wrong? By who are they going wrong? And who needs to correct them? Right? And I want to challenge us today, before you look at your neighbor's doorstep to see if it is clean, is yours clean? Is your doorstep clean? Yeah? And the clergy, I'm a Bible scholar as well. That woman committing adultery, what did Jesus say? Let the one who is without sin throw the first stone. Is that to say because I have done wrong, I can't speak up? No. But when we recognize that we are fallible, that we are not perfect, then we speak with humility. And we speak with an acute consciousness that today could be X, tomorrow it could be me. And we speak with an acute consciousness to correct, not to just condemn. Trust you me, if we all swept our doorsteps, and I want you to carry that analogy however you want to carry it. You know what you need to sweep. I know what I need to sweep, isn't it? If each of us swept our doorstep, we would have no need for the city council or the municipal council to clean. True or false? Yeah. So that's my other challenge. What are you thinking about Kenya when you think? Because your thought will become your action will become your behavior will become your habit. And when we are put collectively together as Kenyans, our habit will become our Kenya brand. When people think Kenya, that is what they'll think. I'll leave it to you to decide what do you want it to be. Let me dare say that it's not the government's responsibility. And that's going to be a very controversial statement, because who is government? It's me and you and the other person. I become government today because I have a seat that I am occupying. Tomorrow it could be you occupying that seat. What defines a government is what we stand for. So that is what everybody who takes possession perpetuates, right? And if each of us sweeps our doorstep, we will have a clean country. Whether it is in the form of corruption that we talk a lot about, or all those other virtues that we would so desire. That's why I come back to my friends here, that kazi sasa naiona hapa. The greatest work is here. How do we channel the value systems so that we make governance an easier an easier job. Now, is the government ignorant of that? No. Those of you who've taken time, and I challenge you to take time, so that even as you think and reflect and say, where can I contribute? Where can I sweep? For you to look at the current policy or philosophy that is governing the government, which is better. And better is really just those of you who've been in government circles, it's called the medium-term program. It is still part of the 2030 vision. And if you're familiar with how it is implemented, it's broken into chunks of, I think it is 5 years, chunks of 5 years. So we are on the 4th one now, still with the aim of being an industrializing nation, yeah? And governance and political administration is actually one of the pillars of this bitter approach. So it hasn't been forgotten. There is no assuming that things don't have to be done in that space. And that's why I'm excited about having people in politics, because then we can borrow. What are the good practices here that we can take back home in our own small way? The same way we've taken back business practices, investment practices, economic practices. And I tell people I like the noises that Kenyans make because, one, it is an acid test of our democracy, and we are standing. So we are doing well. I'm persuaded that when we are done, we shall be a totally different nation. It's also a message to me that we hold ourselves to a very high standard. So we've done so well, so we want to move to the next level. So those are good discussions, and as long as they are geared towards building. Because like we said, that hakuna Kenya ingine, ni hiyo tu, yeah? We crash it. And we've watched nations crash as we are tukiangalia, sidio? Yeah, there's a time the world was just war, and then it went quiet, and that seems to be coming up here. So that is the challenge I would give to us. Let's go back, see what are the anchors of where the nation is going. It is agriculture, because that we never can ignore. That's why I was very excited listening to you, Perez. It is the digital economy. That's why when I see the youngsters here, I'm very encouraged. Yeah? It is the social sector. We have educators here, and it is the political as well. So when I say sitting here, I'm encouraged, is because the pillars of government are represented in an economy that is a little bit more advanced than ours. So my challenge is, let's find a mechanism to send that back home so that then we can grow this economy, because that is the essence. And I'm sure you know, I'm not dwelling on that too much. I'm sure you also know that Kenya and the UK have got, far-reaching partnerships to do exactly that. For the benefit of the young ones, the Kenya High Commission in London was the first mission to be established in post-independent Kenya. And those I met much earlier, I said, my prayer, my objective, my aspiration is to actually make this mission the center of excellence. Right? Because that's what firstborns do, isn't it? Firstborns in an African context set the pace for the others. I can't do that alone. Yeah? So when I come to events like this, I am coming to meet your agenda, but to also meet mine, isn't it? Yeah? So let's do this together. I am open to feedback, good and bad. Actually, there's no bad feedback. Things that are happening and you'd want them to happen differently, right? So tell us what you think we are doing well and we should keep. Tell us what we should stop doing. Tell us what we should start doing, and we shall work together. But don't just tell us also how, isn't it? I always say when people notice a gap, it's because they know a better way of doing it. So walk in with solutions, and then let us move together to build this great nation of Kenya. So allow me just to say this as I close. I know time is of essence. Please, And this is not a manner of speaking. There are documents to speak to it. You are a very critical lever in the development of Kenya. And I know it's been generally said, we think you're an ATM machine, all we want is remittances. No. No, I want you to go back and read. When you have time, go to the website of the State Department for Diaspora Affairs. They have the strategic plan for 2023-2027. See what the government is thinking about you over and above the remittances. If you can replay that speech from the peers, you will also see where the thinking is. Your contribution has superseded the contribution of development partners combined. Think about that tonight. And think about when that is where you are, think about where government places you. It doesn't see you as an ATM machine. It sees you as a development partner, very distinct development partner. So it's really up to you now to leverage that opportunity. We say strike the iron while it is hot. Yeah. So let me take this opportunity to wish all of you a happy Jamhuri Day or whatever is left of it, and also to wish you a Merry Christmas and a happy 2025. And I look forward to greater partnerships. And Dr. Kangethe, thank you once again. Thank you.
Well, that was an amazing speech for today. And thank you so much for acknowledging a lot of the work that is happening in this borough of Barking and Dagenham. Just to close the meeting, I would ask